We finished our first January 6 CCTV audit and looked at two cameras, 0932 and 0933. These cameras are located on the north and south elevator towers on the east side of the Capitol. The footage Congress provided for 0932 begins at 3:43 p.m. on January 5th, then cuts out at 11:49 p.m. They left an 11-minute gap, and then the footage picks back up at midnight, 12 a.m. on January 6th. Throughout the day, Capitol Police used camera 0932 to monitor the crowd on the east side of the Capitol. At about 11:40 a.m., the Proud Boys showed up on the east side of the Capitol, and Capitol Police zoomed in on their activity. At one point, camera 0932 catches Jeff Klein from Ohio walking up to the leaders of the Proud Boys. Jeff Klein wore a cross hat and is a member of a religious group called the Salt and Light Brigade, but this group has an unusual amount of members who have worked for federal intel agencies. We don't know what Jeff Klein was saying to the leadership of the Proud Boys, but he spent an extended period talking to them and appeared to be pointing them toward the Capitol. And then when Jeff Klein walked away, camera 0932 tracked his movement back to the front line. We don't know why the camera tracked Jeff Klein, but we do know that later in the day, Jeff Klein would be on a bullhorn telling people to storm the Capitol and telling him to go through the police line. We also know that people who came with Jeff Klein, who were also provocateurs, had a skirmish with police at the center line and led the charge to the front steps of the Capitol. Now, the footage we have from Congress runs until about 3:55 p.m., and after that, we have a 2-hour gap where they've given us no footage at all. It's not that the camera wasn't recording, Congress has just withheld it from the public. At about 5:50 p.m., the footage picks back up, and we have video from camera 0932 until midnight. Now, in total, we have 8 hours and 5 minutes of footage from camera 0932 on January 5th, and 22 hours and 2 minutes of video from January 6th. But about 18 hours is missing from these 2 days combined. Now, the footage we have for camera 0933 begins at 3:56 p.m. on January 5th, and with the exception of another short gap right before midnight on January 5th, it runs all the way through the end of January 6th. Camera 0933 records a notable moment from Capitol Police Chief Sun's book where he recalls seeing a man handing out hot chocolate on camera at about 9:30 a.m. And later they had a report of a wagon that they thought might be a bomb scare, but he thinks it was actually that man who had been handing out hot chocolate. Now, unlike camera 0932, which has a 2-hour gap in the middle of the afternoon, camera 0933 runs all the way through, and it spends an extended amount of time zoomed in at the top of the steps where we have Patricia Aguino, a liberal protester, holding a Bart Simpson sign, and Jacob Chansley with a bullhorn, and a guy in an eagle costume. Camera 0933 also captures the moment where Pam Hemphill has to be escorted down by Capitol Police, and she was actually one of the final ones to leave the steps after being the first one to cross 4 different police lines. In total, we have about 7 hours and 52 minutes from camera 0933 on January 5th, and almost the full 24 hours from January 6th, for a total of about 16 hours and 10 minutes that are missing. So Congress did better on this one than 0932, but we're still missing quite a bit of information. I hope you found the audit I've done informative, because I'll be doing more of them in the future. There are about 1,800 cameras that Capitol Police controls on and around the Capitol grounds, and we'll look at as many of them that they provided, but unfortunately they haven't given all of the cameras to the public yet. But we're going to audit that, and I'll be reporting it back to you. You can follow my work at Free State Will on Twitter, Kick, Twitch, Rumble, and YouTube, and I'd appreciate the follow. It'll help me get the word out.